TIMA Malaysia visited Butterworth to provide medical care for flood survivors. As the recent climate change summits in Bonn, Germany, we look at innovative products which help reduce carbon. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Margaret Lin. Thank you for joining us. We begin today's program in Malaysia. After floodwaters retreated from Butterworth, not only was furniture and appliances damaged, but so were important daily use items like medicine. Furthermore, the dirty environment was also a concern as TIMA paid visits to the area to care for the health of local residents.
Flooding in Butterworth's Lahar Yoi attracted the attention of TIMA Malaysia, which stepped in to aid the disaster area.
The flood is actually very massive, and a lot of people are not aware that the actual work is actually after the flood, because there's so much cleaning to be done and they actually deprive of their own health. Some even forget to take their own medication.
I just had to take this medicine, but it disappeared. It was diabetes medicine that was washed away by the water. I don't know what to do or how to eat. I was going to see a doctor later, but now the doctor has given me a letter allowing me to go to the clinic.
These unexpected floods caught many off guard, with families having little time to move important items to a safe place. Even the drugs that they needed to take every day were washed away.
All the medicine was washed away by the water. All the documents are gone. All the medical records are gone. The doctor gave me a dose for 3 days. Today and 2 days after tomorrow, I can go back to the government clinic to see a doctor. Thank you very much for helping my mother. For 3 days, she hasn't had medicine to lower her blood pressure, as this made me very worried.
We gave them a little medicine that they could use temporarily. We hope these drugs can bring them a little benefit.
Some villagers suffered some unfortunate injuries because of the flood, with TIMA doctors quickly helping out.
When I had this accident, I didn't know what to do because we were all busy moving things, and when he sat down, the glass broke behind him.
The damage caused by floods is inescapable, but with the help of TIMA, the health of the villagers has now been looked after.
Northern California fires devastated Coffee Park, Santa Rosa. Tzu volunteer Wu Aizhu, who lived near Coffee Park, was in Taiwan when the fire occurred. Upon returning to this area, she was devastated to see almost all of her familiar community destroyed. She couldn't bear to see her neighbors suffer, as she fully committed herself to Tzu to help this community rebuild.
I was in Taiwan when this happened, and when I came back, it's just shocking. It's very saddening to see my neighbors all disappeared. I don't see any neighbors in front of our house, and the whole coffee park is burnt.
My house was in Coffee Park and was affected by the Tubbs fire, so the complete area has been wiped clean. Because of my experience, I've been having a lot of PTSD where I'm not sleeping because I keep waking up and thinking that there's going to be fires, or it's been really hard to go to work and to just leave my house because I'm so fearful and I have so much just anxiety from it all, and so it was really scary. There was a lot of people saying really good things about your foundation, and today you guys gave me a debit card, which I will use to buy some more of my clothes and groceries and just kind of your daily needs, stuff that you need every day to kind of get through. And it's been a great experience with you guys.
And take care, okay? Thank you so much. You're welcome.
And I couldn't thank you enough for your help and your support.
I really want to do my best to bring Santa Rosa back to what it's like before the fire, we will all work together.
Continuing our series on Sierra Leone, though this country experienced an Ebola outbreak and is among the world's poorest countries, but love is the most abundant resource for the country. City volunteers recently sent rice to the Don Bosco Fambo orphanage to help its residents.
This place is called Don Bosco Fambo. This building is designated specifically for male children and teens from the streets.
My name is Desmond Masakoy. I'm 10 years old. I came from Regents from Tome. I'm here because I'm one of the victims of God's life. I lost my family. I lost my uncle, my auntie, my party there.
So I came in the streets when I was a child, and there is nobody to look after me. Well, when I was in the streets, I started stealing, playing gambles, taking all kinds of drugs. There is nobody to advise me, nobody to stand by me. What I feel to do, I do. I have been in the prison for 1 year, 6 months because of larceny. I steal someone's property and they catch me. It is difficult for me to change my life at that time. But by the grace of God, and really, God had a purpose for me. So I met with an organization called Don Bosco, and now I am going to school.
Another program is the Girls' Shelter. It is a refuge for girls that have been abused physically, psychologically, emotionally, or sexually. We currently have 34 girls. About 90% of them have been abused sexually. Other cases are physical abuse.
This one is called Mariatu. She lost father, mother, and 7 brothers and sisters. So it's a complete orphan. Landslide destroyed the house and killed all her family.
Well, we offer 3 meals a day, so we cook about 100 kilos of rice per day. So you can imagine the amount of work done in the kitchen. Rice is a staple food in Sierra Leone.
They have regular people who are cooks here, but we are here to give them a break. We came here because of the mudslide that occurred in Motema.
My property and the hospital where I'm living.
During the disaster, as for me, I lost my things, my property, including the house where I was living. I come here on Saturday and Sundays to help with the cooking. It feels good to help. Today we are cooking cassava leaves. We love the rice because it's sweet.
It's sweet. We love the rice. We love eating rice. That is why the rice is sweet.
That's why we're thankful for what Ziji has done, because they have given us a large amount of rice, which has helped us in the aftermath of the disaster.
A través de la intervención de emergencia.
I'm making school bag for the students. Father George gave this bag to us to make a school bag. This nice bag, but I decided for making a tokupo bag or for where picking to go school. Yes, where they use them. Now I decided for making a school bag.
I like here because it's very good. They play music for us, they make us go to school and others.
I'm happy for Don Bosco Fambul for changing my life, and also Father George is the engineer, and may God continue to bless him.
simplemente un instrumento.
For sure, I won't leave Africa. I'm here to stay. Sometimes the children will say to me, I want to have your skin and your hair. And I would say, no, I like your skin and hair. I want to be African.
Aquí en Don Bosco Jambul tiene sentido.
Let's turn our camera to the COP23 Climate Change Summit, which is taking place in Bonn, Germany. Participants of these events not only learn how to turn waste plastic bags into useful items, but also witness some innovative products which help reduce carbon. Let's take a look.
The invention of Jinsi instant rice can not only be available immediately when disasters take place, the preparation process is also environmentally friendly.
减碳这个部分在长期方里面就有很大的这样子的一个的贡献。
Jinsi instant rice has a great contribution to carbon reduction because we can simply use cold water to make the rice. We don't need to boil water nor use other materials. People can have rice to eat in a very short time after receiving the instant rice.
Well, I think there's also like a psychological aspect to it that like when something as traumatic happens to you, you have like something you can be sure fills you up and is actually not contaminated with.
In addition to on-site instructions, volunteers also provide instant rice for local residents to taste for free.
As a vegan for 8 years, this is really good. I've had my share of bad vegan food, and to think that you can really make this instantly is like shocking. And just thinking about it for like disaster preparedness, like it's amazing.
Besides changing our living habits, preparing food materials in an environmentally friendly way is the easiest way to contribute to carbon reduction. Sylvie Klapperson also contributes to carbon reduction as she turns waste plastic bags into something useful. She immigrated with her husband from France to Guinea in West Africa 15 years ago. She walks into schools to promote environmental protection.
And I asked to them, can you go to keep this plastic, just one? I give them the little money, and the next day there is all the children who want to keep. So it's good.
Very good. Sylvie Klapperson hopes to bring together social forces to give waste plastic bags a new lease of life, which can also improve the environment of Guinea. The technique of these bioplastic bags comes from Indonesia. Such bags are made from cassava.
And you know, as a cassava plant is very huge in Indonesia. That's why we are thinking if we can make an organic bag from a cassava root, then can be also give a benefit to the farmer in Indonesia.
This type of plastic bags looks just like a regular plastic bag. The difference is that it can be swallowed by insects or sea animals without harm. It can also dissolve quickly when put in the hot water.
Just put this one in the hot water, let's say at least 80 degrees Celsius, and you stir and become a dissolve. So you can imagine it is not plastic. If a plastic 80 degrees Celsius, I think will never melt it, right?
In tropical countries, when bioplastic bags are buried in the earth, they can be decomposed automatically in just 3 to 4 months, which is good to the environment.
Tacloban in the Philippines is without medical resources to check for hearing problems. Thus, Singapore Tzu volunteers are helping to promote hearing testing in Tacloban. The first audiometric testing room built by hand by the volunteers during the free clinic was not a one-time use item. After the free clinic was over, the room was disassembled and donated to a local hospital.
This was a free clinic held by Tzu at a local school. When the medical outreach is finished, everyone works together to disassemble the equipment. The volunteer team from Singapore works quickly to restore the classroom back to its normal self. But the question is what to do with this handmade audiometric testing room now the clinic is over. Working in this confined space, everyone works up a sweat. The volunteers are taking care to break down the testing room because it's being donated to a public hospital in Tacloban. The space between the two walls is where the audiometric testing room is going to be. 9 people work together to reassemble this testing room in this tiny space. After the frames are placed, assembly work becomes ever more difficult to do.
We made it piece by piece, so we can only assemble it piece by piece.
One might think if this testing room was made smaller, wouldn't it be easier to fit it into the space?
Since we're donating it to the hospital, we asked where they were going to put it beforehand and built the biggest size we could. We thought this way, even patients who are in wheelchairs can use this room, so that's why the door was made so big.
This is the first audiometric testing room in Tacloban, handmade by the volunteers themselves. Though the room was easily disassembled in just 10 minutes, the team took 2 hours to reassemble it at the hospital. No one complained as everyone works together to ensure that newborns in Tacloban can be tested for hearing problems, as the earlier the detection, the earlier the treatment can begin.
In Taiwan, since May 1998, amendments to the Drug Prevention and Control Act have gone into effect, with 40% of those in the penal system are drug abusers. After serving their sentence, many may begin reusing drugs when they go back into society. Follow our report as we visit drug abuse centers to learn more.
The first time I came into contact with drugs was because my family was busy working and had no time to care for me. My life was just my friends, and I wanted to do what they did and prove that I could just be like them. So out of curiosity, I tried drugs as I wanted to prove myself.
Xiao Shu is a 30-something and is serving a sentence at the Xindian Drug Abuse Center. In 2nd grade of junior high school, he started taking drugs. Went to prison at least 4 times because of drug trafficking.
I think I didn't have any idea about drug abuse. I didn't take it seriously and didn't think I would hurt others.
Many here have a similar concept as Xiao Shu, and many are not first-time visitors.
We tracked the success of our counseling and the recidivism rate, which was 17% in the first half of 2016 within.
According to the Ministry of Justice data, the recidivism rate for prisoners going to rehabilitation at facilities in Xindian, Taichung, Kaohsiung, and Taidong is about 34.5%. For those who abstain from treatment at drug abuse centers is about 43.7%. Rehab for addictive drugs takes time. Currently, the law stipulates that for first-time offenders of Class 1 and Class 2 drugs includes observation for a maximum of 2 months. If they continue to use drugs, they will be sentenced to 6 months to 1 year of detention.
Before this observation was taken part as part of these detention centers. But now we have established drug abuse treatment centers throughout Taiwan, with this observation being carried out instead of detention.
How serious of an impact do drugs cause to society? According to the Ministry of Justice, from 2012 to 2016, drug offenses were tops amongst the top 10 crimes, with 30% of incarcerated people being drug offenders. Annually, some 27,000 people are taken into custody, with such crimes causing families to go bankrupt and other issues.
Families are quite scared as they wonder how their children can experience these 100-degree changes, as it is the impact of drugs.
In fact, some of the problems they are experiencing with their families may not be natural, as it may actually be due to the drugs.
Drug abuse can be a difficult problem, as this issue isn't just confined to men, as a survey conducted over the past 2 years found that the ratio used to be 2.9 men for every woman, but the ratio has now shrunk to 2.5 men for every woman. This shows that women are now being exposed to drugs.
My ex-husband didn't attach importance to this marriage. If he did care, he wouldn't take the gold bracelets given to him by my mother and sell it for money without my permission. I think some women take drugs because of the influence of their boyfriends or husband. I think that many women get involved because their boyfriends are taking drugs.
Becoming addicted together can lead someone to have a very serious problem, which is hard to emerge from.
In fact, I think that it becomes a habit, just like eating to keep you alive. It is much like that. When you wake up in the morning and have a cigarette or one before bed, it is much like this.
You may feel great pressure in life and feel like a loser, experiencing lots of frustration, such as failing at school. So you can easily fall into drug use, as it can be difficult to avoid this pressure.
Because of depression or feeling lonely or simply because of curiosity, many people begin drug use and become incarcerated behind iron bars, where they have a chance to straighten out their confused life and potentially make a breakthrough.
Tzu Chi volunteers have been going to drug abuse treatment centers to hold a variety of classes to encourage detainees. Their efforts have been recognized by the Ministry of Justice, who held a ceremony to award people who have helped detainees and former inmates.
Ministry of Justice recognizes Tzu Chi volunteers' efforts in helping detainees at Xingdian Drug Abuser Treatment Center. Among the volunteers, Chen Chunmei has witnessed that love can transform a person.
They told the teacher that when they wanted to take drugs, they thought about ocarina and music. Then they would tell themselves to hold ocarina and not drugs.
In the past, when people did something for me, I took it for granted. Now I've learned to say thank you. I've learned to be grateful at all times.
Another volunteer being recognized at the ceremony is Tzu Chi volunteer Yang Jiuru, who has been counseling detainees for 8 years. He continues to write letters to encourage former inmates.
I said, when you leave the center, if you do not find a job, just let me know. I would refer them to companies. In fact, we keep passing on our experiences.
The Ministry of Justice held a ceremony to recognize those who have helped former inmates on November 8th. It hopes that through the event, more people will be willing to support former inmates, giving them the strength to walk the correct life path.
As the monthly aid distribution organized by the Jinsi Abode in Hualien, medical professionals and volunteers from Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital use their holiday to hand out aid supplies to Tzu Chi care recipients. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.